I'm so glad that our friend Charles Hurd of the Washington Times wrote about that in his column today. Hello, Charles. Oh, I'll say that again. Hello, Charles. Should I be hearing him or should I not be hearing him? Oh, hey, Charles. Sorry about that.
No problem.
You know,
How are you?
technology, I'd like to blame it on the snow, but it hasn't arrived yet.
Yeah, no, I guarantee you, I think I've told you this before. If it's a technological problem, it's my fault.
Oh, okay. So it was put in the proper context by Brett Baier, but I'm so glad you wrote that because I feel exactly like you do. There is no proper context for that, especially a guy who's been criticized for months about saying I could do whatever I want, and here he is saying it again in a different way. I could do whatever I want.
Yeah, and the idea that he would go out there, and I assume he was trying to make a joke about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't funny. There's nothing is funny about it. But it's also a little bit like Chris Christie joking about closing down lanes of traffic. You don't joke about that. I mean, it reveals this. It suggests that he and everybody in the White House, they have no clue. Feels like he is a president who has run amok, who is trampling the Constitution, not staying within the limits of the Constitution, and they're completely unaware of that.
Yeah, absolutely unaware of it. And you talked about what a sorry sight in general it was up in Monticello. I know most pronounce it Monticello, but I think New Yorkers for some reason call it Monticello. Anyway, it was a sorry sight. I mean, the French president leaves a lot to be desired, and of course, you know how many people feel about our president.
Yeah, and you know when to think about our country's long history with France, and we've had our good times and our bad times, but we very likely things would have turned out very differently if the French had not been our allies during the Revolution. And there were some, the Marquis de Lafayette and General Washington were, played such a crucial role in bringing about our independence, and to look at these two characters, and that Hollande, Francois Hollande, it really is. We've come a long way from the days of the Marquis and General Washington.
Yeah, a long way in the wrong way. That's certainly the thing. I think you'd find this interesting. I just had Larry King on in the last hour. And he's got a new TV show on an on-demand TV site and all that kind of stuff. And we got talking about remarks he made about CNN, where he said they should run cartoons, and now he says he was joking. And then he says, well, now that I think of it, he says, how about SpongeBob with breaking news interrupting it? He says it could be SpongeBob and breaking news. So then, which I thought was pretty funny. But then I asked him about media bias. Well, he swore up and down that 50-whatever years he's been in the media, radio, TV, you name it, never once has he seen media bias from management, from anchors, from anything. Brian Williams specifically, he dared me to give an example of Brian Williams being biased, the whole thing, but this is the coup de grace because he made my point. I said, he brought up, because he started, Monica Lewinsky. I think the media covered Monica Lewinsky very fairly back then. I said, and I went into the whole, Rand Paul rant about the hypocrisy of the media loving Clinton now, and I said, a guy who was accused of rape and sexual assault. He said, wait, rape? What are you talking about? He never heard of that. He never heard the name Juanita Broderick. I think he thought I was making it up or I was some kind of nut job. I couldn't believe that he never heard of that.
Yeah, that is truly, truly amazing. But I guess that is probably the kind of the secret to Larry King's success is he has he's been sort of oblivious to any of these concerns that obviously you, me, and most Americans are so aware of. But I and I love it that he's backtracking off of what he said about the cartoons, because the way I read that thing, he was being quite serious.
I agree.
But I bet you what happened is that no love has been lost between him and CNN since he left. But I'm sure that he has, they still have some friends in common.
Yeah.
And I think CNN was devastated by that. I mean, if you think about it, he was the face of CNN for so long.
Yeah.
And for him to have come out and said that, and the most horrifying thing about all of it for CNN is that it was true.
Yeah.
He was exactly right.
Yeah. I think he's right with this. I think they would have higher numbers with the SpongeBob and breaking news.
Oh,
Parents could watch the cartoons and put it on for their kids and know that if anything in the world goes cockeyed, they'll get the interruption.
Yeah, I'm afraid that would actually get me on to SpongeBob too.
But he did say, he talked about what's wrong with CNN is there's no appointment TV anymore. He said Larry King Live was appointment TV. They just don't have that anymore. He thinks Andrew Cuomo, Chris Cuomo is a talented, great guy, but he's in the wrong place. He'd put him on in prime time, the whole thing. So he did critique the whole. He says, I'm not a programmer. I said, but you're a viewer. So anyway, he went on to critique it. But anyway, I just was
I don't know how he gets up and say I'm not a programmer. I mean, if you're a news guy, you would think that you either you understand what is news and what is interesting, or you don't.
Right.
You don't have to be a programmer.
Well, I said you're a viewer. You're a viewer. So tell me from a viewer's point of view. And he was good, but then he didn't like me at the end because I could not believe that he did not know of Juanita Broader. I said Lisa Myers interviewed her. I mean, he just had no clue. But anyway, that speaks volumes. Let's talk about real quick what the Republicans have done and what today the Senate followed suit. This debt ceiling, clean debt ceiling, and I'll ask you the question. I mean, couldn't Boehner have come up with anything to attach, at least in a show vote, so that Democrats would have voted it down and been on record for voting no for the Keystone Pipeline or something? He just went right to the clean vote after just a couple of weeks ago talking about how, we're going to get something, in exchange. What happened?
And what's really depressing about this, Steve, is that putting the clean vote on the House floor was actually a relief to conservatives, because what he was going to do was going to be even worse.
What was he going to do?
Well, by putting in these things that would have raised spending.
Oh, yeah.
And removed the pension cuts and it would have been even worse.
Yeah.
And so the idea that it just goes to show how much trouble we really are in, that conservatives were genuinely relieved that to vote on a clean, and maybe that was his tactic. Maybe he was trying to get keep people in line, and so he threw that thing out there. I don't know what it was.
I don't know either.
But I agree with you. I'm not one of these people who thinks that Boehner is the worst person on the planet. I mean, there's a lot. People forget that under Boehner and under this Republican rule, the minority has rights they've never had before in modern times. He does. He allows both the minority and the Democrats and his detractors, who are Tea Party people. He gives them a lot of leeway.
Yeah, he does.
He lets them vote, and while you could argue that's a small thing, if you believe in the government, it's not a small thing. It's a very important thing, because all of his predecessors, especially Nancy Pelosi, people would have broken knees if they did to her what he allows them to do. And so all these Tea Party people love to tear Boehner down. I would always defend him because he has been a better speaker than obviously the Tea Party doesn't like it because he's not a hard enough conservative. And I wish he were more conservative, but I tell you, if I had to choose between a conservative who was put people in thumb locks, this is a better expression of what the founders intended.
Yeah, Nicole Wallace said he deserved the Medal of Freedom for bringing that to a vote. We had Mary Madeline today who defended Boehner, and of course yesterday Tim Yuleskamp told me that Nancy Pelosi is now running the House floor. So you get the Tea Party view and maybe more mainstream conservative view. Any interest in the New York Yankees and Derek Jeter?
No. I haven't even. I'm so.
Yeah, he announced today that he's going to retire after this year, which, his last couple of years have been injury plagued. So,
Yeah.
but it's interesting the way he did it. And this is one thing Larry King also weighed in on. He did it on Facebook. And he did it in like a 5-6 paragraph, story. That's I don't ever recall that happening. Certainly, a man of his stature, and it's kind of, I guess, where we are as a society.
And it allows you to bypass the media, which is very appealing.
Yeah. Well,
I guess so. Since he and his lovely girlfriend split up, I guess maybe. Maybe he's got needs a little more free time now.
Yeah, he's had a lot of lovely girlfriends over the and he's a class act. He's a real class act. Yeah,
he really is, and made all the more so alongside Alex Rodriguez, and he's a
No, I couldn't agree with you more. Hey, listen, always great to talk to you, my friend. I'll send you that King stuff, because he didn't like me at the end, even though we went to the same high school many years apart, Lafayette High School in Brooklyn. All right, take care, Charles. We'll speak to you. Stay well in the snow.
Yeah, indeed. You too.
All right, take care. Charles Hurt, ladies and gentlemen, Washington Times columnist here on the Steve Malzberg Show. All right, we're going to have the panel. The panel consisting of John Gizzi, who will be back from Washington, D.C., probably sitting right next door to Charlie Hurt. Washington, D.C. is this big. They all sit together. They're all like in a little box. You didn't know that? No, it's absolutely true. What, Chad? Chad thought Washington, D.C. was a big place. No, they all sit in one room. Everyone in Washington, D.C. is in one pretty big room, and they all have little cubicles, and that's how they sit. Yeah, it's true. All right, so we're going to... John Gizzi will be back, and our bureau chief at Newsmax in Washington. And Yevgeny Feyman, fellow at the Manhattan Institute, will throw some things around right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve